taking the same course of action and expecting a different result? Well, that's insanity. Are you not tired of being sick and tired? Raise the frequency. Every frequency omits and absorbs its same frequency. Hence you have the metaphor, birds of a feather flock together. Out of the 5 people you choose to hang around with the most, you'll eventually become the average. Raise the frequency. Raise the frequency. Raise the frequency. Raise the frequency.
All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Raising the Frequency. All right. With that being said, today's episode we're discussing it's going to be about addiction, alcohol addiction, particularly. Now, you guys know I did a 30-day challenge with marijuana, 30-day no smoking marijuana challenge. It was hashtag No Weed November. So a lot of people took advantage of that. A lot of people suffer from addiction from marijuana and tobacco products, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody brought it to my attention that their issue was alcohol. All right. And I feel like this is the perfect gentleman to bring into the fold, knowing that the journey that he took with alcoholism and him overcoming alcoholism. All right. So we're gonna go in depth, but nonetheless, you guys make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Make sure you guys turn your notification bells on, okay? We call this wiping your feet on the rug. Do me a favor, I need everybody to hit the like button. We call that wiping your feet on the rug. Same way you do at your grandparents' house. You just don't walk inside your grandparents' house with the dirt and the mud on your feet. What you do, you wipe your feet on the rug, okay? So I need you guys to do that the same thing over here. Just hit the like button. Now, I'll introduce my guest here. My guest here is Mr. Romeo. All right, a good friend of mine, a great friend of mine. Romeo, just starting off, let's just speak about the origins, right? I'm Haitian American and you're Jamaican, correct?
Correct, Jamaican American.
All right, so let's just speak about the household that you grew up in, as in correlation to alcohol. Was there any alcohol in your household? How was you raised? Were you raised with your parents?
Well, I was raised with both of my parents, and from the time I was a little kid, my parents had house parties every weekend. Alcohol was heavily involved in my childhood. I just recently had a conversation with my dad, and he was very honest in letting me know that, he was the first one to introduce alcohol into my life, and it wasn't on like a crazy level where it's like, you drink it every day or whatever the case may be as a little kid, but, once that's in your system and you have a taste of it, it's something I remember for me, like having my first taste of alcohol. And I remember that's something that I wanted more of. So I always used to tell myself as a little kid, like, once I get to a certain age, this is going to be a part of my life, So the stage was already set for me, Everybody's reaction to things is different, but that was my own personal experience with that.
Okay, make sure you talk on the mic also, sir.
All right, no problem.
All right. So with that being said, okay, so you grew up with both parents in the household, right?
Correct.
A Caribbean household for the most part.
Yeah.
All right, so you grew up with alcohol in the vicinity of the household.
All the time.
So you telling me as a kid you already determined that you was gonna be a drinker?
I knew it. I was 100% sure of that. Like, that was one of my agreements to myself, was that was gonna be a part of my life because I liked the way that it felt. By the time I was probably like 9, 10, I was sneaking alcohol, on occasions or whatever the case may be. And then by the time I got to high school, like, I was going to school like drunk a lot of times, I sneak alcohol, go to school, I'm in first, second period, like faded. Headphones on, hoodie on, sleep on the desk. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. So as an adolescent, you was already sneaking alcohol out the cupboard, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, now fast forward. So you saying that at what age were you drinking alcohol? What age did you discover alcohol?
Well, I had my first drink of alcohol when I was probably like 2. By the time I was like 6, 7, your parents let you sip a little bit out of their cup or whatever the case may be. By the time I'm like 8, 9, like, in Caribbean households, like, Ray and Nephew's white rum is used as medicine. So like if somebody in the house was sick, I remember my mom would make this concoction with like honey, lime, and Ray and Nephew. And then like she'll make like a glass of it, give you a spoon, and then when everybody go to sleep, I'm finna drink the rest. You feel me?
Okay. So basically that's what spawned your addiction.
Correct.
Right?
I feel like that.
Okay, so now let's fast forward. What do you think? What age did you stumble upon it? Where not necessarily stumble upon, but what age did it become a consistent thing?
That happened like later on, to be honest with you, man. Like, you know, for the majority of my younger life, it was always like an occasional thing, a weekend thing, like a once every few months kind of thing. And as I got older and life started to become stressful, I started to use it as a crutch. But it's kind of crazy because like when I first started drinking, I used to always tell myself, I'll never drink when I'm under stress. It's always going to be a recreational thing until, you know, you get to that age where like stresses get real. You know, you dealing with shit like possibly facing prison time and stuff like that. And it's just like, that's the only thing that could take that edge off of you.
So what age was that?
I was probably like 28.
So 28. So it started from your adolescence, but you're telling me when you started developing bills, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
When the pressures of life started hitting, that's
Yeah.
when you started developing this consistent habit.
Correct.
All right. So with that being said, now, would you consider those your triggers? Is that what triggered the alcoholism?
Yeah, it was definitely an escape, man. Like, you know, anything that I needed to escape from, I used that. And hindsight, you know, I could see that everything that I tried to escape from was still there. You know, like the only thing that alcohol did is for the moment while I was drunk, those things didn't exist. And when I was in my late 30s, this is when I truly became an alcoholic, when I was in my late 30s. Me and my wife, we were going through some things in our marriage. We were separated basically, and I hated the way that felt. So that's when I started drinking every single day. Like, it started with okay, I'm gonna wait till I get to work. I get to work, like I'm a barber, you know. I don't have any requirements of me, like as far as like the typical job where you know you have mandates or requirements. So I could do whatever the fuck I want to do, you know. So I'm coming to work 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and I'm having my first drink by like 9, 10, you know, and then I'm enjoying my day. Like I'm not thinking about nothing. I'm having fun, and it's fun at first. Then it started to get to the point where like every day I'm bringing a bottle to work, and then I'm leaving work and I'm still going to the bar and I'm drinking more. Then it got to the point where like it progressed to where it started waking me up. So like 4 o'clock in the morning, every night I'm waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning to 2 Heinekens. Then by the time I take my kids to school, I'm having my first shot of hard liquor, you know? And, you know, that was the progression.
Okay, so you start off gradually. You start off with your Heinekens, the common beer.
Mm-hmm.
And what time in the morning?
4 o'clock, 4:30.
So 4:30 in the morning, you're actually drinking alcohol. The taste of alcohol is touching your system.
Correct.
All right, and you said you started drinking your hard liquor at what time during the day? So it starts at 4 in the morning. So by 7 a.m.
I'm having my first hard drink.
Wow.
Yeah, and then like 9 o'clock, the liquor store opens, and then I go get another bottle. So like I'll have like a leftover bottle from the night before, so that's what I'll sip on. And then the crazy part about it is it got to the point where like I would drink anything. Like, so saying that to say like, okay, I might start out my day, I drink my Heinekens, I might start out with Ciroc. I get to work, I'm on Hennessy, you know? Then like, let's say depending on who comes through the shop that day, they might want to be on tequila. So now I'm on tequila, you know? And I'm just switching, but like with no side effects. So it took a long time for me to realize that I had a problem because I didn't have any side effects. I never had hangovers, no headaches, nothing. And I feel like a big part of the reason why that is because I had healthy habits outside of that. Like, you know, I was very active with my kids, played a lot of basketball. I didn't drink soda or juice. I only drank water, drank a lot of coconut water. Like I love fruits and vegetables, so I feel like that prolonged me in realizing that I had a problem.
So you virtually you eat healthy, right? So that helped kind of combat some of the side effects, or it made it so it didn't accelerate as much as the average person.
Correct, because the main side effect of alcohol is inflammation, and because of the way that I ate and drank, like I minimized my inflammation. So the main area you saw my inflammation was in my stomach, because remember my stomach was very distended.
I remember you had a hernia issue. So I can bear testimony. I'm a witness to your testimony, right? Because I recall at times when I would come to your crib, I'm coming to your house, and you're drinking in the morning.
Yeah.
So I definitely witnessed that, right? And I can attest to your hernia because I've trained you before, right? I'm a personal trainer at that. So you spoke about these things. So I could definitely say I've witnessed these things, right?
Yeah.
So let's just go back. So now you're drinking from the morning beer. You're having your by 7 o'clock in the morning. You we call that you jumping from one different different fucking polar opposites. You're drinking brown to white liquor, right? From Hennessy to Ciroc.
Yeah, whatever
satisfies
whatever
that
the moment
itch.
called for. Whatever the moment called for. But I never like went down to cheap liquor, so that's probably another thing that saved me, because that cheap liquor tears your body up fast, man. Like So I feel like it was a certain things. I don't know if that was God in my life or whatever the case may be, but like certain things, like I never picked up the habit of.
Well, I think it's safe to say that. Yeah. I think it's safe to say that, and you definitely want to contribute that to Most High, because the average person, that when they develop these type of habits, usually it shows in their lifestyle too. They don't care so much about themselves, but apparently you do care about yourself, because you wasn't indulging you wasn't eating a certain way, you wasn't drinking a certain way, you was doing things to combat the symptoms, the side effects of alcoholism. Yeah. Safe to say, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So with that being said, now let's talk about this. Well, keep in mind you got beautiful kids, so we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. I know you got the kids. Yeah. Right. How many kids do you have?
Currently 5.
5 kids, right? Yeah. How many boys? How many girls?
I have 1 boy. That's the oldest, and I have 4 girls.
Okay, then. So you got a wife. Yes. And you have kids, right? Yes. The only thing you're missing is the dog.
That is correct.
That part.
I'm gonna buy one of your dogs though.
Facts though. LOTS approved bullies. Y'all know that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's go into the symptoms. Okay. Let's get into the grit of this, right? What symptoms did you experience? Like honestly, like I recall certain things. that I've seen from my own eyes, but I want you to tell the viewers.
My stomach was big, and it was literally kind of uncomfortable and painful. I never equated that to alcohol, though. I just equated it to poor lifestyle, because I didn't sleep much. I didn't get to work out as much as I wanted to, so I just figured that came with age. But when I started to realize that alcohol was affecting me, I started getting like my feet would hurt at the end of the day, and I knew that was a side effect of inflammation from the alcohol. But when I really knew that I had a problem was one morning. I woke up about 5 o'clock in the morning, and when I woke up, it felt like I was like gasping for air. And I never went back to sleep, and I had to be to work at 7:30 that morning. So I got up at 6:30, got myself together, and I made it to work. And I'm cutting my first client, and while I'm cutting his hair, it's time for me to line him up, and my hand starts shaking uncontrollably. And I couldn't complete what I was doing. So I had to stop in the middle of his haircut, and I had to go walk next door to the gas station, and I bought a 32-ounce Heineken. I bought 2 of them. And the first one, I opened it, and I drank it while I was walking back to my shop, because my shop was right next door to the gas station. And as soon as I finished drinking that, like my hand steadied, and I knew I had a problem at that time. So like what I did was I spent that weekend trying to wean myself off. So I would I would only drink beer, but what I would do is I would time myself. Like when I felt the symptoms coming on, I would go get another one, and I would do that. I did it for like 3 to 4 days, and at the end of 4 days, I was good. And then I took some months off from drinking at that point. But I realized that at that time I was drinking a lot of vodka, so I was like, okay, well, my birthday came up like maybe like 4 months later, and I was like, I could drink, but I'll just drink brown now. So I'm a
Well, I don't want to go into the solutions right now.
yeah, no problem.
I just want to speak about right now the symptoms. So
Okay.
first of all, you said bloated stomach.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
your stomach was bloated, and then you notice that your nerves is going bad.
Yeah, my nerves.
So
was
when
tripping.
drinking alcohol, it damages your nerves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I've recalled sometimes now. I'm more of a marijuana smoker. Obviously, I'm a big chiefer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I see people when I've drunk liquor, obsessively, I've noticed that sometimes my fingertips have went numb.
Correct.
Right,
All
so
of
your
that.
nerve ends are affected. Correct.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you say with your stomach bloated. Also, you're telling me your nerves were bad.
Nerves
in
is-
which you had to antidote that with drinking like we call microdosing with
Microdosing, correct.
some beers.
Yeah.
So what other symptoms did you face?
Spotty memory. Like listen, man. Like I don't remember a lot of things, and then like I used to find myself lying a lot or like repeating stuff a lot because I couldn't. Like it definitely affected like my thought process and my brain and the way that I processed information to be always under the influence like that. So that was one of the definite effects as well. Other than that, like I just always felt stiff, physically. Like it just always felt like everything was hard for me to do. I was always tired. I fell asleep everywhere. Just like, and that's about it.
All right. So we went through the symptoms, right? I want to speak about something that's a little bit personal right now. All right. And I appreciate you that you're coming on here. I appreciate that you're coming on here and you're disclosing these things to the people. Like I said, I look at myself as a sacrificial lamb, so I feel like you're doing a lot for the people right now, and I want to commend you for that.
I
All right,
appreciate
brother?
that, man.
With that being said, you got a beautiful family.
Thank you.
Right? How many sons? How many sons and daughters you have?
I have 1 son and 4 girls.
All right, and you are married currently.
Correct.
All right. So with that being said, how did the alcoholism? How did it affect your family? Your family as well as your friends and people outside of your family.
I lost everything, man. Like, at my worst, like, well, that was the reason that my marriage started to fail. I didn't realize that I had a problem at that time, but I got so used to drinking at work because I used to be letting my family down a lot because I would work obsessively. So I would make promises to my family like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come home and we're gonna go do this or we're gonna go do that. And then I look at the time and I'm supposed to be home at like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and it's 9:30 now. So I'll be like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just get drunk and then I won't have to think about it. So, that coupled with like verbal and physical altercations with my wife, my family life started going down. And once it like really started going down, my financial situation got bad because, that's an expensive habit. And I was drinking a bottle or more a day by myself. And then sometimes even after that, I'm leaving work and going to the bar and drinking more. So, it's an expensive habit. At my worst, I lost everything. Like I had a brand new truck. I had to turn it in because I got 2 DUIs. I lost our home, so we were homeless. We was bouncing from pillar to post, staying in timeshares, hotels, whatever the case may be, because we was homeless. And then like eventually, like at that point, my wife had enough, and she was like, "Yeah, that's it. The relationship is over." So then I was separated from my family. I managed to get them a stable place to stay. But like for me, myself, like I was just all over the place. Like, I'd stay at my mom's or sometimes I would sleep in my shop. Sometimes I would, just different stuff. But I just didn't have anything anymore, I didn't even have like my sense of self anymore. Like I just felt empty.
Okay. So with that being said, taking yourself and putting yourself in your family's shoes, how do you think your family, their perception of you at the time?
I think my wife hated me. Like she was disgusted with me, but her love for me allowed her to have enough compassion to help me because she's the one who like inevitably got me into detox. by petitioning to my family and to the people around me to help. She just was crying for help. She was like, y'all, please help me help Romeo. My kids, I think they wanted to still love and respect me, but I feel like a lot of that respect was lost because of things that they saw me do.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the past 2.5 years since I've been sober, I feel like I've been working on mending those breaks. But I feel like, like I said, like they wanted to stay.
Make sure you're talking to Mike, brother.
They wanted to love and respect me still, but I feel like it was hard because of what they physically were seeing me do to myself, to the people around me, the lying constantly, that'll wear anybody down,
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, I bear witness the whole process. Mm-hmm. So I've seen when you was at your height, mm-hmm. and I seen when you was on your decline. And I noticed how it affects you and your family. Even right now, it kind of gives me goosebumps because I know how much you care for your family. I know how much you pour into your family, the sacrifice you make for your family. I know. I watched the whole thing transpire. With that being said, it affected you a lot when you and your wife broke up.
Yeah, definitely.
Extremely.
Yeah, it definitely did. But the one thing that I could say is when we finally agreed that the marriage was over, I gained something, which was a sense of self. Like at that point,
talk about it.
I realized that like I had to fight for me now. Like it was no longer about my family. It was no longer about my kids. It wasn't about my mom. It wasn't about my dad. It was about me. And that was something that I gained. And I realized that I had to let go of everything else so that I could fill my cup up. Because if you're pouring from an empty cup, everything perishes.
I love that you said that. Should give me goosebumps, bro. That's what you said is so valid. And like I said, I watched your whole process, and I recall those times. Like I said, it's a big sacrifice to lose your family. Not even sacrifice. It's just something fucked up. Excuse my French, right?
Nah,
but at the end of the day, you actually had an opportunity, and I took notice of that. Mm-hmm. You actually had an opportunity to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
So without going through the whole alcoholism and you trying to keep everything rolling, keep everything moving, you never really had a chance to really deal with yourself personally, individually, and just be selfish to bettering and self-improvement.
Nah.
And that breakup, that temporary breakup, it actually was a blessing.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So it helped in the process of your recovery to find yourself again. So that was amazing for you. So basically, the opportunity came within that I'll say destruction, chaos.
Yeah, definitely.
Throughout all that chaos, you was able to find yourself again, right? Just by detaching yourself completely from everything. I know you voluntarily, you would have never did that.
Never. And the funny part about that is, I'm a very spiritual person. And a few years before all of this transpired, I was at work one day, and my last customer was a gentleman that I knew for a while. He was an acquaintance, not a friend, and he didn't know much about my personal life. And he was just like, what you do when you leave her? And I was like, yeah, I'm about to go home or whatever the case would be. He said, you got a few minutes of your time. I'd like to tell you something, And I was like, sure, we could talk. And he was like, God put a calling on my spirit to talk to you. And he was like, God is telling me that at some point you're going to have to step away from your family and work on yourself. And he was like, I know you love your wife. I know you love your family, whatever the case may be. But I'm not telling you that your marriage is going to come to an end, but you got to put some energy and some effort into yourself or you're going to lose everything. Mm-hmm. And I heard him and I felt it. And I knew that God was asking me to do something, but I didn't have the strength to do it at that time. So when my wife said, this marriage is over, that was the first thing that came to my mind. And I knew that it was God that brought me to this point so that I could put the emphasis on myself. So I took full advantage of the opportunity to do that.
No, make sure the other camera's running on point too. All right, so I love that, man. And I love that for you. Like I said, if it was up to you, you're a superhero for your family, bro. I see the sacrifice you do for your family, so I know voluntarily you would have never backed up from your family. So it was your wife's decision that subsequently led to you being able to find yourself and get a grip of the situation, so to
Correct.
speak, right?
Yeah, correct.
All right. All right, man. I'm super happy for you, brother. Now, how did it affect your business?
Business. How did it affect my business? I watched myself become regular. You know, I had to put myself on autopilot. So what I did was I became just a regular barber. Like, you know, prior to my alcoholism, like I was always pushing the envelope, challenging myself, doing things on the scene. You know, like anybody knows me, man, I'm gonna do the most when it comes to cutting hair. Like you could bring anything to me. Oh, I wanna color my hair and make it an iguana, and I'm gonna do it for you. Like, but because the way that the alcohol affected my mind and it took so much from me, I put myself on autopilot. So like things like that I stopped doing. Like, so I was just doing the bare minimum. So I watched my clientele deteriorate. I watched myself give up on opportunities. Like I had like certain clientele, like
But I ain't leave your side.
No, you stuck with me, boy. Listen,
Even though one day I came in the shop,
appreciate it.
and you was laid out. You
Yeah,
couldn't even
man.
do my hair. That's the first time I seen you incapacitated.
Yeah,
You was literally laid out.
yeah. Man.
You told me you couldn't cut nobody's hair, and I remember your man was there, but his wife was there, and all. We was there watching you,
Yeah.
watching this thing unfold, this alcoholism.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but nonetheless, you was triumphant. You overcame everything, and this is a resilient story. This is a great story right here. Like your outcome, the trials and tribulations you went through, to be standing right here to give these people the testimony is amazing. That's why I said there's nobody better to tell this story than you. All right. So
that,
your business was affected, and your clientele diminished.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
And which your shit is fully back strong now.
Yeah, I'm back strong. Business is good. Doors are opening up for me. I have endorsement deals right now. Like it's a completely different world, man. Like I'm grateful to God. God restored me and restored my business and restored my family, man. Like I couldn't ask for anything more, you know?
That part. All right, so let's speak about how about we speak about the solutions, right? We spoke about the origins of your alcoholism. We spoke about the side effects.
Yeah.
We definitely spoke about your family, how it affected your family, as well as your professional, your workspace. Let's speak about some solutions now.
Talk to me.
All right. How did you overcome it?
Overcoming. All right, so overcoming was crazy, man. Like it was something that started mentally 2 years before the physical followed up. But overcoming happened after my wife said that the relationship was over and I accepted and we went our separate ways, you know. The overcoming started happening. I tried to do it myself first. So I kept trying to quit cold turkey, almost had a couple of seizures. You know, thank God when that happened, I was in the hospital because I was scheduled for a surgery. My doctor advised me not to quit because, you know, it wasn't just the alcohol. You know, I was like on pills and all type of other stuff too. And so my doctor advised me not to quit cold turkey. She said that I would be fine in surgery because they were going to administer, I forgot the name of the drug, but it was supposed to stabilize me through the surgery. But like for me, I didn't want to risk going into surgery because remember we talked about the hernias. It was supposed to be a hernia surgery. So I didn't want to risk going into surgery with alcohol in my system and all them pills and stuff. So I quit cold turkey. Long story short, almost had a seizure. They was able to catch me in time. They administered anti-seizure medication. And that was the beginning of my recovery journey. I got out and they safely detoxed me and I relapsed. But by this time I had started going to this program. It was called Share. And I used to go and all I could think of when I was going there was like, damn, like I'm going to trade my alcohol and drug addiction for an addiction to having to go to AA all the time. And I didn't like the idea of that. So I used to just ask God to like show me how to overcome my addiction without trading it for addiction to medication because they prescribed me like all these different medications to suppress urges and all this stuff, and I just never would take it because I'm like, nah, like that's not natural, you know. Fast forward, my last relapse was my worst relapse. Like that day, I drank 3.5 bottles by myself, and that was around the time when you came in the shop and you see me like, you know, basically like out of it, like I couldn't do anything. Around that time, like I remember my last day drinking. I came to work. I was so drunk before I came to work, I forgot my phone at home. And I remember I had bought a bottle of Ciroc when I got to work, and I finished it. And then I went to the liquor store to get another one because there was a liquor store next to my shop. And when I was walking back to my shop from the liquor store, I was drinking out of the bottle. And I remember I got into my shop and I locked the door. I took a sip out the bottle and it just like turned my stomach. And I was just like, this can't be my life, man. Like this just ain't it. And I remember I put the bottle on my barber chair and I sat on the floor and I was just like, God, please let this be my last day. And it was like when I said that, I heard my shop door open. My wife had the keys to my shop, and her and my sister came in and they was like, we have good news for you. And I was like, what's that? They was like, oh, we found a detox facility for you to go to. Because even though me and my wife went our separate ways, like she never stopped advocating. She never stopped asking my family to help her to help me. Like, and she finally got my sister to help her find me a safe facility to detox in. And 2 weeks prior to that incident, one of my good friends introduced me to a book by a Dr. Joe Dispenza. The name of the book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And when I read that book, I learned how to unwire the programs that brought me into alcoholism.
All right,
Talk to me.
hold, not to cut your wisdom, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to just bring things into perspective. There's the timeline of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, you was potentially suffering from seizures, right?
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, when you are alcoholic, you can't necessarily abruptly stop drinking. Some people can.
Yeah, it just depends on your level of severity. Like once you start to experience physical dependency, which was the level that I was at, and what physical dependency looks like is this. Like if when you don't drink, it's not just irritability, it's like the nerve, just like you said, the nerve damage. So you start to experience like nerve pains, shaking, like, you know, my eyes would twitch, like, you know, like you're about to have a stroke. Like, you know, my left side would get painful and go numb. Like sometimes like it was hard for me to walk or stand up. Like that's physical dependency. And the crazy part about that is that like whenever I would experience those symptoms, as soon as alcohol would touch my palate, my body would relax and I would come back to my full faculty.
Instantly, right?
Instantly,
like a heroin with a heroin addict with a needle.
Correct. And what I learned during my recovery journey is that there are two addictions that are the worst and that could kill you, and that's alcohol, and the second one is benzos, which is the medication, is a prescription medication. And one of the medications that they prescribed to me to overcome my addiction was benzos. And listen, that was my next road to recovery because
So before you get into that, I just wanted the timeline. So you was facing you almost was having seizures, right?
Yeah.
You're having signs of seizures, but you never actually went into seizures.
I never physically seized because I always was in the right place at the right time.
Okay. And with that being said, you said you relapsed. So how many times did you relapse before you finally checked yourself into a rehab?
Twice. 3 times. I'm sorry. The first 2 were like, you know, they was all right. They were relapses, but like minor. I was able to overcome. You know, I went to the hospital, detoxed, and came back, and I was cool.
So ironically enough, your first 2 times was, I would say, they were minor, right?
Yeah,
safe to say.
But they were minor, but they were major enough to where I had to go to the hospital to detox. I couldn't detox safely on my own.
So now the third time,
was
the dramatic one. That was the drastic one, right?
Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, let's go ahead and continue. Like you spoke about the medicine you took, but prior to that, you were speaking about a book that you read and stuff like that. So you was reading some type of books that was helping you with your overcoming your addiction, right?
Correct. It's like so the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about what's called the placebo effect, which is he wrote a book also called You Are the Placebo.
Epigenetics,
Correct.
placebo effect.
Yeah,
Facts.
correct. So basically, like all healing is inside of you already, but you have to tap into it.
That part.
And so when I decided that I didn't want to drink anymore, that's the kind of healing that I wanted. Like I didn't want to, they teach you that as an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. So you always have this problem that you have to nurse. And that's how all sickness is in modern medicine. So like if you have cancer, they're going to treat the symptoms, not the problem. I didn't want that for myself. I wanted to be healed of this problem. So the great thing about reading those books by Dr. Joe Dispenza is that I was able to rewire my brain to not include that addiction anymore. So that's what I did for my 6 days when I was in detox. I was in detox for 6.5 days. I didn't have access to no phone. I didn't have access to the outside world. There was a TV in my room that I never turned on. I spent them 6 days praying and meditating and writing.
So that's a vital point. And the reason why I'm stopping while you're speaking about this, because this is the part of the program that's very important, right? We spoke about your trials and tribulations, but now we're speaking about the actual solutions. So one solution was, first of all, you had to detach yourself from your family.
Correct.
Involuntarily, right? You had to refrain from certain things. You had to detach yourself, not just from your family, but your phone, your friends.
Anything that reminds you of your current situation. So one of the main triggers to addiction is environment and who you currently are. When you're trying to make those changes, the best, safest, and easiest way to make that change is to get into an environment where you can become somebody else. And you can't become somebody else when you have things that are triggering you or reminding you of who you are. Most of the times as an addict, when you're addicted to something, the things in your environment is what triggers you to reach out to that substance or that thing or whatever that vice is. It's something that you're running away from. So once you're able to remove yourself from those environments, you have the ability to safely become somebody that doesn't need that thing anymore.
Okay. All right. So that's that. So is there any ways what advice can you give these people in order to overcome their addiction? Because we're speaking about solutions. Let's just wrap this up with solutions, the solution part of this program.
Okay.
What other advice would you give them?
First things first, you have to want it. If you don't want it, and this goes to people who have family members that are currently addicts. If they don't want it, you can't help them. Number two, if you have friends and family members that are suffering with addiction, and you try to give them that tough love, or you try to, you're making the problem worse for them. You become their trigger because you're like, oh, why don't you just quit? Or people say stuff like that, and I'm just like I remember people used to say stuff like, oh, you could just quit, or you're better than that, but I'm not at this time. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't do this thing, I will die. You know what I'm saying? And you can't say that to anybody and make it make sense. I remember I used to get into arguments with my mom and stuff like that, when I was trying to quit, and I'll be like, damn, I'm having a rough day, I'm feeling the physical, I need a ride to the liquor store. And then it's your family is nah, I'm not supporting that habit. Okay, but I'm about to die. You don't understand, and that was one of the most difficult parts of quitting for me, was trying to get people to understand what I was dealing with, So
just I want to elaborate on that. All right, for the most part, I lost a brother. My little brother died from alcoholism. So everything that you're saying is right on. You're hitting it right on the head. You know what I mean? The hammer's on the nail. Definitely. And what you're saying right now is so prevalent to me. And in hindsight, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I kick myself about that shit. Cause me personally, I took that approach with my brother.
The tough love,
yeah, yo, you gonna do that to your family?
Yeah,
you gonna tear apart your family? You gonna leave us like that?
I heard all of that stuff, and
I spoke to him in every regard, everything you're saying. I took that approach, and not because I never suffered from alcoholism, right? sometimes I wish I would have went and seen him. Sometimes I wish I would have went to his environment and extract him from his environment. Play some type of part in his life where I could have just removed him from his immediate environment and provide him that closure, provide him that isolation that he need, that you had a chance to experience, right? You had to isolate yourself from people, remove him from his family, right? Because he was in the same position with his family and stuff like that. So I kick myself about that shit a lot. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to my brother, you know?
Yeah, man, that was my dog, man. You know, I feel you on that, man.
We grew up together, nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna fight back tears and stuff like that because I don't want to take away from the moment. But nonetheless, just to elaborate on what you're saying and give credence to what you're saying, you are 1,000,000% right. And it was selfish of me the way I approached it with him. You know, and I wish I could have changed that, but you know,
one thing I
can't
can
change
say
the
is,
past.
man, you just don't know, man. Like if you've never physically experienced it before, it's not something that you could tap into and say, okay, I understand this thing. And it's not something that the person who's experiencing it can explain to you. So it's not your fault. You know what I'm saying? You did the best that you can as somebody who loved your brother. You feel me? And you got to like pat yourself on the back for that because you cared enough. And at the end of the day, like
just to go into it, okay. My little brother was so deteriorated from the alcohol to the point his eyes was yellow, right? They said cirrhosis of the liver, so
Correct.
things were shutting down in his body, his teeth, everything. Not to go into I don't want to go into detail like that, just to show him his respect,
I ain't got no bad
right?
teeth, man.
But no, just where he was at. He definitely was way further than where you was at.
Yeah, no, I'm saying my
Right,
back
with
teeth
it?
are deteriorated.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, like they out
Okay.
there.
So it was to the point where my brother didn't even want to look at me. He didn't like. I was so scared to lose my brother. I wanted to see him for the last time. So I tried to get him on the phone. He didn't want to get on the phone. You know, and I convinced him to get on the phone. And when I convinced him to get on the phone, he was reluctant to get on the phone at first. But I had to give him that reassurance that I don't care what you look like right now. I know everything that you right now. I know you feel ashamed. I know you feel embarrassed. I don't give a fuck about that. You my brother. I want to see my brother.
Yeah, man, that's real, man.
So I had a chance to see him.
I feel you, man. Trust me, man. I ain't even want to look at myself, dog. Like I had lesions on my skin, just like you said, the teeth. Like, man, like I wasn't myself. I understand, man. Trust me, dog.
Hold on, man. Hold on. Let me wipe my eyes real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's all good.
All right, so we're gonna get through this. So listen, so I got a chance to see my brother. You know what I mean? I had got a chance to see him. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God I was able to see my brother before he passed away. You know, it felt good. It felt good to see him. And even though he didn't want to see me, he had too much pride, too much self-respect to be seen in that light. But I got a chance to see him nonetheless. So just to give some credence and just to elaborate what you said is 100%, 1,000,000% right. All right. So is there anything else besides solutions that you want to speak about that you could provide for them, for the people that suffer from alcoholism, that are alcoholics, that have that addiction?
One of the things that I want to tell people who are currently suffering is that it's greatness on the other side. Like at the worst of my addiction, like I've never been a suicidal person because my mind is too strong for that. But I didn't want to live anymore, man. Like, and that was like one of the most horrible feelings in the world, man. And like, just reminding myself how that feels. Like it's like I like that's like that was like. If you feel like you don't want to live anymore, man, like just know, like man, like it's not you, it's the addiction that got you feeling like that. Mm-hmm. one of the worst things about alcohol addiction or any addiction period is that it robs the dopamine centers in your brain. So that feeling that you don't want to live, or that it's called failure to thrive. So I didn't eat. Like I never ate. Like towards the end, I wouldn't eat. Like I couldn't.
Yeah, my little brother had lost a lot of weight, man. Extreme weight. Extreme. You know, he was bodybuilding. You know, he was a super. He was a bouncer.
Yeah.
Very heavy set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To see his body to diminish to that point, you know, it was a bit disturbing, a bit.
Yeah.
All right, so those are solutions, man. Like I said, I appreciate the story, man. I appreciate you giving your testimony once again, brother. All right, let's go on a lighter note. Where you at now in life?
Right now I'm 2.5 years sober. And I don't count the days, I don't count the hours, I don't count the minutes, I don't count the moments anymore because I'm not that person. I left that person on June 12th, 2021. Like, I became a new person. God allowed me to walk into a new life. My family is back together. My business is thriving. I have brand endorsement deals now. Like,
clap it up for yourself, brother.
I'm grateful. Thank you, man. I'm grateful for the journey that I'm on right now. Like, you know, right now, like I feel like I want to be able to, if I can save one life by telling my story, like I'm ready to do that now. Like for a long time, just like he said about his brother, like, you know, I didn't want nobody to see me because I was down bad, man. Like, you know, it's like, but now I'm ready. Like, I feel like I don't want to be like the typical, I got a story to tell person, but I want to be able to save somebody, you know? If I can save a life, if I can save one person, like just by, you know, letting them know that it's greatness on the other side, man, like I want to do that, man. Like, you know?
And I think you're gonna save a lot of lives with this story right now. So I think you definitely you accomplished that with this program, this specific podcast. This is episode number 3. All right, talking about alcohol addiction. Now, so also, well, is that where you at in life? So is that it in a nutshell? How's business going? How's your family going?
Everything is good, man. Like, you know, business is actually better than it was before. You know, opportunities are opening for themselves. For me, I'm sorry. And I'm at a all-time spiritual high. Like, I've reached a level of spirituality in my life that I've never been at before. And for that, I'm grateful for the experience that I've gone through. Like, sometimes, you know, people will say, why me, when they go through things? And I realized that God allowed me to go through these things so that I could be where I am now, so that I could have this testimony to give to people, because, you know, I'm not afraid to share my testimony. I'm not afraid to talk about what I've experienced. I'm not afraid to share my lows with people. I'm not afraid to, you know, tell people about my losses, you know? So,
man, that's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. I'm happy to see that your relationship with your family is better than ever right now.
Yeah, man.
You know, your career is better than ever right now.
Yeah.
So you basically full cipher. You reached a full cipher at this point.
Correct.
Right?
I'm higher than I ever been, man. Yeah, definitely.
That's by the grace of Most High. Give praise to Most High, man.
Amen.
Definitely, that's through Most High's grace and Most High's will that you're able to even reach full circle. Because to be honest with you, like, you see the faith that my little brother suffered from. A lot of people met the same faith.
Yeah,
the same
a lot
faith.
of close people to me, same thing, man. You know,
You're one of few people that I know overcame alcoholism. To be quite honest with you,
yeah,
you're one of the few people that I know that ever overcame alcoholism.
yeah, man.
So that's a triumph in itself. Just that's amazing.
And one of the people that I look up to a lot, Samuel Jackson, he overcame addiction at about the same age as me, and that was one of the things that I always hung on to when I was fighting through the battle, because it was dark some days and I couldn't see the light out. And just to know that, like, this dude, like, he made it through and he became the great person that he is. So if I could become that person to somebody else, man, like, I'm willing.
What movie Samuel was a crackhead in? What, that New Jack City? What movie that was?
In a few
City?
movies. He was a crackhead in New Jack City. He was one, I don't know if he was a crackhead, but he was like the homeless boxer in that other movie. Yeah, that's like my favorite actor, man.
Planet laughing.
Nah, but for real, man. Like
Chris Rock, no, Samuel was a crackhead too in the movie, bruh. I'm telling you. Listen, I know Chris, the New Jack City, but what was Samuel the crackhead in?
I don't know if he was a crackhead, but I know he was homeless in the boxing.
All right.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'm wrong, man.
Yeah.
Maybe my
But he
memory
done played
eludes
some.
me.
Man, listen, man.
He played some roles. I know he played some type of down bad role. He played some type of addiction role. All right? Okay, so nonetheless, so let me tell you something, man. Like I said, give praise to the Most High, man. I'm happy to see. I'm more than happy, man. I'm super excited to see you triumph over this, to be so successful. To be honest with you, like I said, I don't know that many people that ever came out of alcoholism and can say the things that you're saying right now. Yeah. Now, let's end off with this right here. What do you see for the future? For Killer Cuts, for your barber company, for your family, your kids, you know what I mean? Just in a nutshell, where's your future gonna land at? What do you see in your trajectory?
The sky's the limit, man. Like, I see limitless possibility, man. That's something that I haven't seen in a long time. And as far as my personal self, man, I see myself just, being open to the opportunity to help others, man. And, wherever that takes me, man, I'm ready. I'm open for it.
That part, man. That's amazing, man. One thing I would tell you, man, we're going to wrap this up, my brother.
Yes, sir.
It's been an amazing interview.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Even with the tears and all that. But that's what we bring to the people, man. We being vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
Sacrificial lambs, man. I just want to tell you, bro, I appreciate you. This has been a long time coming because we've been supposed to do this.
Yeah.
Right? And it's hard to get you on this couch, but you've made it here. All right?
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you, brother, man. Thank you for sharing your story. You guys, do me a favor. You guys, make sure you guys are hitting subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. You see what it's hitting for. You see what we're doing here. We're bringing y'all our lives and our trials and tribulations in a nutshell. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Don't be a ninja watcher. It's a person that be creeping and watching. Don't be no pocket watcher. That's just a hater and definitely want to be one of these, ladies and gentlemen. That is a peeping Tom. Y'all know they do the peeping Toms. Just don't find out. Don't go to jail. That part. I am the elected, the appointed voice of the streets. You know what I mean? The incomparable, the often imitated, but cannot be duplicated. You know what I mean? And this is brought to you by LOTS Approved Media. And this is called the Raise the Frequency Program, episode number 3. All right? Until next time, you guys, nobody's promised tomorrow. So by the grace of the Most High, we're able to be here today, okay? So I just want to tell you guys, man, thank you for being here. And nonetheless, to the next program, just wait for episode number 4. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.